Good evening to the Islandish people tuning into Islandish Podcast. I am your lovely host, your girl Yams, your hostess with the mostest. And I am here with episode number 8 of Islandish Podcast. Mom, we reach 8 fast, you know.
I know.
Yes. And I have with me the lovely doctor. Gotta say the doctor first. Dr. Daniqua Williams. And we are here. Darling, how are you?
Good.
Excited?
How are you? Yeah.
That is good. Now, this was a chance encounter. I bumped into you while I was out gallivanting on the weekend. I say, oh, you in town?
Yeah.
And she was available, and I'm happy to have her here. Come here a little bit early. So we are broadcasting right now at 4:30 p.m. We're going to try and get through this as quickly as possible, but as meaningful as possible.
Yes.
So, with you being a doctor, Dr. Williams, let them know your education in that field, where you went to school, and your journey to become a licensed medical health counselor.
Okay, cool. So I started in COB. That's where we met, right?
Yes.
So I got my associates in law and criminal justice because I thought I wanted to be a forensic psychologist. But that didn't happen, obviously.
Right.
And then I went on to get my bachelor's in psychology at the University of South Florida. Go Bulls.
Do you think?
And then, so after I got my bachelor's, then I started working at a methadone clinic as a substance abuse counselor.
Okay.
And so I found out there that the master's degree in counseling was a terminal degree in this field.
Okay.
Because I always thought I needed to go and get a doctorate. So I was like, oh, okay, I only got to get a master's and I'm done. Okay,
Right.
cool. So I went on to Bar University, go Bucks.
Been in a lot of schools.
I did. I got one more. Hold on.
Okay.
I get my master's in counseling. From there, and I specialized in clinical mental health counseling.
Okay.
That was a journey. And then after that, I kind of switched just a little bit. I got my doctorate from Monmouth University in New Jersey, and I got my doctorate in educational leadership. So, so more so on like the higher education side, where I could work my way up to like VP of student affairs or something like that. So it's all related, but both are my love. So I love working with, I would say, college-aged individuals, but mainly millennials, so to speak. So just that area. So within mental health and then also in higher ed.
Okay. So that was a long journey. So how much time have you spent abroad in your education in total, you would say?
Child,
I have to laugh.
that's let's see. Well, I just got my doctor in 22. So probably, and I ain't good at math. That's why I on this side in psychology education.
Got you.
Maybe like 8-ish years, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, around that.
Okay, so that's kind of lengthy, but I've known people who've taken a lot longer, so kudos to you for getting the doctorate and getting your doctor's degree and being Dr. Williams. I love that for you, girl.
Thank you.
Look at the girl power. Freeport Girl says do big things.
Yeah.
I love it. So tell us more now about your business, which is Free Your Mind Counseling Services.
Yes.
So tell them a little bit about that and the different services that you offer.
Sure. So Free Your Mind Counseling Services is a virtual private practice. So the reason why it is designed like that is because, we are an archipelago, right?
Yes.
So I wanted to be able to reach persons on all the islands, actually. So right now I have clients in Nassau, Grand Bahama, Bimini, Abaco, and Exuma. So that was the whole goal and the whole vision of it, just to make sure that I can be easily accessible. Because I realized that after Dorian and then during COVID, like we didn't really have anywhere to go.
Right.
So that's why I wanted my practice to be designed in that way. So yeah, totally online, totally accessible. Persons be in their car, in the bathroom, in the room somewhere, wherever they feel comfortable, they're able to get mental health care.
Okay, so you handle majority of it through Zoom, or all of it is via Zoom and via online?
All of it, yeah. So I do individual counseling, and then I also have a support group that's called Adulting is Ghetto.
Adulting is Ghetto. I love it. Very millennial. Okay, so what would it be, or what would the process be for someone to reach out to you, submit payment, all of that to become a part of your services and what you offer?
Yeah, so I have an online electronic health management system. So everything is all comprised in there. So you would go on my website, which is freeyourmindcounseling.com. You click the button to say request appointment, and then on there you put in your information, and then on my end I receive it. I approve the appointment, and then I send you documents to complete and sign. You could put in your credit card, your mommy card, your daddy card, somebody card will got money on it. You put that in there.
Right.
And then we have the appointment. So I don't have to worry, or we don't have to worry about you going on the portal to make payments and doing all of that. Everything is done all together. So even a telehealth link will be sent to you. So yeah, everything is all in one.
That's really wonderful. I like how you really took advantage of technology to help with your practice. So with your practice, do you find it difficult targeting millennials?
Yes and no. So we have social media. So
Right.
millennials on social media. But we also in a time where therapy or just mental health is kind of like taboo. We coming around right now. So trying to make therapy like cool, trying to normalize it, like that would then be the challenge of it. With that, yeah.
Okay, so do you find that persons have an issue because with us being from Grand Bahama especially, and with you being from Grand Bahama,
Yeah.
do you find that persons are a bit apprehensive because of privacy issues, or they feel like, well, she can talk my business? Do you ever come across that type of stigma?
Yeah. So yeah. So in that sense, I have some people that express that to me, and so I would tell them, I was like, girl, I ain't gonna tell your business. Like, I just here to help you. I'm here to be like unbiased person that's on your side to help you navigate through this. So it's much deeper than that. I have a license. I don't want to lose my license because it was a long time and a lot of money to get that. So I wouldn't, go ahead and break confidentiality and do all of that stuff, right? So, but yeah, persons in Grand Bahama, they do have that, I guess, that mentality that, I don't want to tell nobody my business or anything like that. But I think on the flip side, what has helped me too is because I'm from Grand Bahama, some people are kind of familiar with my face, and so then they feel comfortable with coming to talk to me, right? So, yeah, so it's you could see it on both sides. So I just try to, help them feel comfortable enough just to be open and honest with me, because, if I don't know, I can't help you. So please tell me.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've referred her several times.
Thank you.
A couple people I know needed it. People I was like, you need someone to talk to, and I ain't the right person to talk to. I can be honest. And the reason why I say that is a lot of persons feel like they can rely on either their pastor or family member or friend circle to get certain therapeutic advice, I guess. So what would be different from them going to a family member or pastor compared to coming to you for that type of advice?
Well, I still would encourage them to go to a family member or pastor or a friend or something or somebody, because you don't want to feel like you want to isolate yourself and feel like don't nobody want to listen to you, and you don't want to be a burden on people and all of that stuff. But still be open with your support system, like lean on your support system, and it is the hope that your support system would then refer you to a licensed professional, right? So someone who can listen to you, who has an unbiased opinion, and who can help you clinically, right? So when you go to like your family, your friends, your pastor, and all of that, they're there for you, but they don't know what to do.
Right, sometimes,
They don't know what to say sometimes. So it's best to, you can vent to them, but also seek that professional help.
Right. So what kind of traumas or issues do you see sometimes coming up often when dealing with millennials, especially Bahamian millennials?
So I would say, I don't know if you heard this term, like the quarter life crisis. No?
No.
Okay.
What's that?
So basically that's like around a time when you're like 25-ish to like 35-ish, where you questioning yourself, right? You have self-doubt. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know where you want to go. You just don't know. And so you go through a period where you're trying to find yourself, doing that soul searching, right? So a lot of that can manifest in like in your relationships. Like you don't know if this person is for you. You don't know how to date. You don't know what you're looking for in your job. You don't know if this is the right career for you. So I have a lot of people that, you know, express those kind of things with like their relationships, their job, their family, things like that. And they just don't know how to navigate that. And so then they would have like anxiety or depression related to that. So the clinical term would be adjustment disorder, where you would feel these symptoms within 3 months of you experiencing the self-doubt and all of that. And then you would feel like that anxiety and depression because of that.
Okay, there's a term for it. I never knew what the term for it was, because now that you've explained it, that is a very relatable feeling. I remember having those feelings of, okay, I don't know what I doing. I just feel like I doing the same thing every single day.
Yeah.
It ain't going nowhere. I depressed. Why even going to this job? I remember having those feelings around that same 25, 27. So, okay. So when persons come to you, what would you usually recommend, or what would be the services they would usually use that you provide?
Yeah, so it'll be individual counseling. But my approach is I first and foremost want to build rapport with the client. Some people are more forthcoming with their issues, and they, you know, they share.
Yeah, everything. Just throw it on you.
Go ahead, you know.
Right.
But sometimes people want to feel comfortable with you, and so I would more so focus on that first, and then through those conversations, then we would dig a little bit deeper to see like where the root cause is, and then let's deal with that first, and then we could deal with all the surface level stuff.
Right. Okay, wonderful. That sounds very progressive, to be honest, giving them that time to get comfortable with the process first, and then when you all realize what the issues are, make steps towards fixing them.
Yeah.
Okay, so for example, with a lot of the things and issues, especially with millennials and technology and things like that, do you see that being a major issue or a major part of why a lot of people have that quarter life crisis? Right.
Yeah, because, you know, people go on social media, and social media is people's highlights, right? And so you're looking at someone else's highlights, and then you're looking at your life, and you comparing your life to someone else's highlights, right? And so then you feel as though like you're not, I guess, far enough or as far that you wanted to be or expected yourself to be at this time, and so you feel like you ain't doing nothing. You know, you feel like you just I just chilling,
right?
You know, and so because you are comparing yourself to other people, then you start feeling that self-doubt and that depression and all of that.
Okay, so I can jump backwards. Are you primarily based in Florida, or where are you primarily based in terms of, because I think you're visiting right now?
Yes, I'm visiting. So I live in Dallas, Texas.
Hey! Okay.
I live in Dallas, Texas. So yeah, and that's another reason why I wanted to make sure I started out via telehealth, because when I started, it was COVID. I don't know if I started out like in the beginning part of COVID.
I think I remember that in May, when you made the flyers and you really started pushing it and stuff. Okay, yeah.
So I started out in COVID, so we had to be virtual anyhow.
Right.
But it was never my thought to be in person because of us being on a small family island, right? And so just thinking about when one client walks out of the office and then the next client might be a little bit early, and like that overlap, and you know how people go.
Yeah, I don't want no one I don't see me coming there in a different wig. I do that. Yeah. Right.
So yeah.
With it being virtual, you avoid that problem and that issue. Okay, that's actually really smart. That's really a good way to adjust it, to try and cover. I shouldn't even say cover, but let's dig into that a little bit more. Why do you feel that, and I don't even know how to ask this question, but I need to ask it.
Yeah.
It's almost like when you go on social media or you look at the things and the way people are talking now, you would feel like there isn't a lot of stigma associated with going to therapy and seeking help. But is there even still that stigma?
Yeah, because you have to confront yourself, right? Therapy is not a fun thing to do. You know, you still have to, be open and honest with yourself, and you have to confront like you, because it's easier for you to point the finger at other people and say, well, this person ain't communicating with me and this person ain't doing this and ain't doing that. But then, like,
therapy.
what is your role in these situations, right? And so that's hard to do. Like, sometimes I don't want to meet my therapist. I'd be like, maybe I need to reschedule, but it'd be too late and I don't want to get charged.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, fine, I guess I'll go. But it's not a fun thing to do. It's a necessary thing to do. I think it should definitely be a part of person's self-care.
Right.
But yeah, but that's why. I mean, it online they make it seem like it's cool and all of that.
Right.
And it can be when you get to the other side, when you actually put that work in. But as you are putting the work in, like, it's not fun work to do.
Right.
But it's very rewardable on the other side of it.
Wonderful, wonderful. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we come back. We're going to continue this great conversation with Dr. Williams about mental health for millennials.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jason.
And I'm Cheryl. Join us here on Superior Talk Bahamas YouTube channel every Tuesday at 6 for Let's Talk,
Where we talk about issues that matter to you. We try to come up with workable, practical solutions so we have more action and less talk.
See you on Tuesday.
We are back at the Islandish Podcast. We have to take a quick commercial break. And on the commercial break, my big up to my uncle Leroy watching.
Hey.
He actually related. Because that's my uncle too.
Oh, shoot.
Small island boy, island life, island people. But getting back to the conversation, and I love the way it's going, because even here in Grand Bahama, and the fact that you're offering something that's virtual and you could offer it from being in Texas, and you're able to provide a service that, in my opinion, is definitely heavily needed here in our community. But with that being said, what are your views on mental health and therapy and psychology in general here in the Bahamas?
We are working. We're doing the work. So I want to big up the Bahama Psychological Association. So we do a lot of work, a lot of webinars, just trying to get, the message out that if you need help, here is help, right? Because, I mean, to me, I don't see, I guess, mental health services like advertised heavily around here. You kind of have to either be in the know or know somebody or something like that to know where to go, you know. So I mean, more work is to be done, but there is work that is being done. So I don't want to say that ain't nothing going on. Right. Something happening.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think it's more so that when it comes to mental health and things of that nature, and even going to therapy, a lot of people just turn to religion rather than turning to therapy. What are your views on that? Do you feel that going to church and staying close to God can be the solution to a lot of your person's problems, or is mental health still something they need to address outside of their religion?
So I believe it goes hand in hand, right?
Okay.
So everybody has their own core beliefs, right? And so if your core belief is based on your faith, then lean on your faith to help you, right? So I have a lot of clients that would do that would lean on their faith, and if we have similar values and faith, then I would, help them and share my personal struggles sometimes, but not too much. But just to help them out, right? But it goes hand in hand. So you don't want to say, well, just shut out your faith and only focus on your mental health, because maybe a part of that is doing some work to where you understand what is going on, and you understand the parts that you can control and the parts that you can't control. So then the parts that you can't control, you do the work on that. But the parts that you can't control, then you lean on your faith and you say, well, God or higher power, I give this all to you, right?
Right.
And so then with you doing that and believing that, then it'll help your mental health, because then you're going to focus on the things that you actually can't control.
Right. I love that. Okay. That's a good balance between the two. I see how you answered that. You answered that very, very polite. Very polite and very political. But you are correct. I like the way you answered it too. Because a lot of persons feel like you have to be on one side of the coin.
Yeah.
A lot of times. Especially because I did psych at UB. So with me doing psychology, a lot of times persons feel like, oh, you into that psychology thing, these people just need to go to church. Da, da, da. A lot of times you have that stigma. But here you say that no, they actually go hand in hand. It sounds like there can be some collaborations between the church and psychology in a lot of ways. So are you a member of the Bahamas Psychological Association?
Yeah.
Okay, so what resources or things are you aware of here in Grand Bahama that they're offering that persons can lean on to?
So I know they have the crisis hotline. So
Right.
they have an adult one, children, and then they have one in Creole
Right.
as well, right? So you want to make sure that I think I share the flyers like every so often. I probably need to share a little bit more.
Yeah, send it to me. I
can send it to you.
Right. Yeah.
So we have that, and then there's a series of webinars just for you to be abreast on like the different like issues, right? Like how I just was talking about adjustment disorder.
Right.
There's webinars on like different disorders that maybe you just don't know, because a lot of people say, oh, I OCD. A lot of people don't know what OCD is.
Right. They say stuff just to say it.
Yeah, so that's psychoeducation on these different disorders, so that if you choose to self-diagnose, at least you have some education behind it.
Right.
So those are kind of things that's happening.
Okay, I like that. So, because I see a lot of things happen at the Grand Bahama Resilience Center. They do a lot of work there as well. And my question right now would be, especially when it comes to students on the high school going into college level, when it comes to dealing with, are those even millennials? I don't know.
I mean, not today.
Yeah.
But yeah, them.
Them set. They're the ones that you try to deal with sometimes. Okay.
Yeah.
So with helping them, because I feel like when it comes to high school children, I have to say children because under 18 is a child.
Yeah.
You have to go through their parents as well to get your services, or can they come just straight to you?
They can come straight to me, but then their parents, I have a waiver or form, where their parents would have to sign.
And give consent.
And give consent, yeah.
So how would that work if a child sometimes feel like their parent is the issue and they probably don't want their parent to be involved? Would that sometimes cause a hindrance in them trying to reach out for help?
Because I would need that parental consent in order for me to see, because they're a minor, right? So
that still would be needed. So that makes it difficult sometimes, because I know a lot of the problems that I see or hear about from young people, it stems sometimes from at home. Not saying that their parents are doing anything to them, but that conflict. Because I remember being in conflict with my mommy a lot. Yeah, at that age.
Yeah.
And sometimes they just don't want to listen to you, and you telling them like, "Boy, I know your mommy seem like that, but relax, you going through something, you can be fine." So how do you overcome that in some cases, if you could give an example without sharing anybody's information?
So even in those instances, like where the parent is not cooperative, then I can't see the minor, right? And so in some instances where the parent is slightly cooperative, meaning they sign the form, they put their card down, and be like, okay, you could go and see the therapist, you do you, right? It's kind of difficult, because when the child is doing work in therapy and they feel empowered and they want to address these issues with their parents, sometimes they get backfired, right?
Right.
And so in those instances, I would allow the parent to then join some of our therapy sessions, to where if it's a difficult conversation that the child want to have with their parent, then at least they know that they have me as a support,
as a mediator,
and then to kind of like guide the conversation, right? So if the parent doesn't necessarily understand what the child has to say, I already been talking to this child, so I know what they mean. So then I'll be able to share in a different way what they meant, and so hopefully the parent would then understand in that way. So, it's ways to work around it. But the parent have to be a little bit cooperative to start.
And willing to have the conversation.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I feel like that's a good thing too, especially when you're dealing with parents and children who are like far in terms of age gaps.
Yeah.
That must be necessary in terms of the way they did things and the way things are done now. It sometimes creates a gap between kids. So let's move on to another conversation when it comes to relationships. I'm assuming, but do you get a lot of persons who come to you for a relationship or to talk about their relationships, whether it's marriage or otherwise? Talk about how those sessions usually go or what they usually look like.
Yeah, so for those sessions, and I try to be as general as possible, but for those sessions, it's mostly kind communication issues within the relationship, right? Or it'll be where they starting to grow apart. So then it'll be one person in a relationship seeking help, like, oh, let me go to therapy and let me work on me. But then it's kind of like that same with the parent and child, the partner, they don't see a problem within the relationship, or they don't believe in therapy. So we over here doing the work, and then you coming back to your partner to, like, try these, like, techniques and all of this, but it sometimes it don't work,
right?
So it's more so like communication, really within the relationship, growing out of the relationship. Should we continue? Do I, like, who am I as an individual? Is my full identity just me being this person's partner? Like, things like that. So we work through those kind of issues.
Okay. I kind of like that. That's really good and productive. So my other question would be, are you finding that it's more women than men that come to you? Or
Yeah.
Really? Like it's a way.
Yeah.
Mostly just women?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how do you think, or what you think would be an effective way to try and get men to come to therapy? Or it's like, boy, you don't even know how to get them to come?
Yeah, I think, I guess doing the work with just, like, normalizing therapy.
Right.
Men in general, they don't, I guess, are as emotional as women.
Right.
Right? And so, like I said, therapy is hard and emotions come out. That's where you go to talk about your thoughts and your feelings and all of that stuff. So that doesn't come as naturally, to them as women do. But the guys that do come to therapy, like, they be ready to work.
Right.
And I really enjoy those sessions. So I hope that, that I do get more men to seek therapy, and so that I can work with them more. So, yeah, guys, hit me up.
Yeah, get the help. It's here.
Yeah.
And the reason why I bring that up is because 2 podcasts before this one, we had a male guest, big up to my boy Jordy, big up to him, and he talked about the fact that women have our sister circles. We have our sisterhoods. We have our circle of women that we could go to for support, for help, whether it's with business, life, relationships, and men usually don't have that. So he said that one of the things he feels that men need, especially in the grandmama community, is more support, like from other men to help them. And like you even said earlier about having your family and friends, like, you could still go to those resources while still seeking out mental support from the psychological area. So do you feel that that lack of support is the reason why a lot of men have the problems they have today?
Maybe. No.
Okay.
So I understand where he's coming from, and my hope is that he sees this issue and then he is proactive about it, right? And so that would be him being open and honest with his friends, right? So him talking about his thoughts and his feelings with whomever, or whoever he feels comfortable with. And so in turn, then that person can feel comfortable with coming to him, you know? And so that's how it happens, right? It's not necessary that we waiting on somebody on the outside, like an organization or this group of people or just certain people to have a space where you can come and you talk about these things. But these things can happen, or these moments can happen in the car or at home or wherever you are, you know? So making sure that you are the person that would normalize these kind of conversations, you know?
Yeah, like creating safe spaces among you and your friends.
Exactly, yeah.
Got you. I like that too. The fact that you good, you know, you make it more like personal rather than saying, oh, let's go to this event so the men can come together. No, make it something that could be a daily thing.
Yeah.
A part of their lifestyle.
Yeah. Like, it don't have to be a one-time.
That's why she's the doctor, you know what I mean? All right, so my other question would be, as we start to talk more about your services and the different things that are challenging millennials in this day and age, other than, I guess, relationships, what would be another issue that usually comes up in your clientele?
Another one is just comparing themselves to other people. And so them feeling like they are not doing anything with their life. And so usually by maybe like 2, maybe 3 sessions, they start to realize like, hey, I actually did a lot of things, and I actually aspire to do more things. But because they are comparing themselves to other people on social media or even just their friend group, right? Then they feel as though they're not doing anything.
Right.
So I'm the last doctor in my friend group. Like, I have friends, I have a bunch of doctor friends, but that we all graduated from Catholic High, Crusaders Never Say Die.
All right, then.
So I have a lot of doctor friends, and they've been doctors from years ago. Right? But then if I was to look at them and say that, oh my gosh, they've been doctors, like, who am I? Like, what am I doing? I was just on my own journey, and I eventually became a doctor when it was my turn.
Right.
So just wait on your turn. Like, things are happening for a reason, and just continue to do what you feel is the best thing for you in that moment.
I love that. I love that. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Now we come back, we can talk more about the quarter life crisis.
Okay.
Here with Dr. Williams.
Yo, what's up, Bahamas? My name is Andrew Williams, aka Cat.
And I'm your boy Mix.
And we're representing Off the Bench, the number one talk sportcast in the Bahamas.
In the world, my boy.
My bad partner. So we cover anything sports throughout the Bahamas. We cover our Bahamian athletes wherever they are, and they're making waves in sports. We cover them.
Hey, just tune in to us every Wednesday here on Superior Talk at 6 o'clock p.m.
The number one talk show in the world.
In the world, Craig.
Yes, we are back with Islandish Podcast here with the lovely Dr. Dani.
Hi.
I can start calling her that from now on. That's your name anyway.
Yeah.
So we're here with Dr. Daniqua Williams, aka Dr. Dani, and we are talking all about mental health here in the Bahamas. She is a licensed mental health counselor with a wonderful service called Free Your Mind Counseling Services. Check them out online at Free Your Mind
_counseling.
All right, make sure you follow, make sure you subscribe, and hit her up for her amazing services. Now, with the services you're offering, can persons pay you from anywhere around the world?
Yeah.
You get clientele from anywhere, so it's not only for Bahamians.
Oh, it is for Bahamians. Yeah.
Oh, so you only see Bahamian clientele, preferably. Why did you choose only the Bahamas?
Because, like I said, like, from Dorian and COVID, like, I noticed that we didn't have anywhere to go to receive just acute mental health care, right? We have the RAN, well, whatever that was after Dorian, just,
that thing.
Yeah. So when things become, like, just too severe, when you become a threat to yourself, right? And so you go to the RAN. But that was it. Like, I didn't see much places or any places here, so I just wanted to have or start something that persons can go to where maybe they having relationship problems, or maybe their boss getting on their nerves, or maybe they having issues with any kind of like life transition or something like that, where they just talking about just their life, just their daily life, right? And it doesn't interrupt their life as much to where they need to go to the RAN, but sometimes it may interrupt your life just a little bit, where maybe you up all night thinking about it, maybe you crying, or you starting to isolate yourself, or maybe your heart start racing, so things like that. So we didn't necessarily have places for you to go. Big up to the Grand Bahama Resilience Center, where I think we kind of started around the same time.
Right.
And so they have like a place to go.
Right, yeah.
Here on Grand Bahama, so that's great.
Yes.
So that's why I wanted to do that.
Okay, wonderful. So a lot of persons sometimes hear about therapy and counseling and feel like it's expensive. Or it's out of their budget. So give them like a price range for what it would be like to come to you for your services.
Sure. So the sessions are 50 minutes, 50, and they're around $125 per session. So the consultation is free. So everybody gets a 15-minute free consultation where we get to know each other a little bit better, and then we just see if we are a good fit for each other. So, the consultation is free, and then after that is when you start to get charged for each session.
Right. And then when it comes to the group sessions, how does that usually go, and what is the pricing on that?
Sure. So, for the group session, it's a little bit cheaper, so it's $40 per session.
Okay.
So that's great.
Yeah.
That's affordable. So if you want to, let's say, find community or just want to feel like you're not alone in what you're going through, and
Right.
you want to like hear from others, or you want to just share, then that's where that support group come in, where you can come in, you can share, you can listen, you can do.
Is it anonymous?
No, it's not anonymous.
I was just
but
asking.
it's not anonymous, but it's confidential.
Okay.
Right? So the rules are set in the beginning, and so everyone would follow those rules. If you don't, then bye.
Problems.
Yeah, problems.
Right. I like that though, because a lot of times, especially with a lot of millennials, which I don't want to say I don't understand, but honestly, I don't understand. A lot of them say that they don't really have no one to talk to, don't really have much friends, but then I see them with a lot of friends. So it's almost like that, why are you hanging out with these people if you can't talk to them about the things you're going through? But I guess that's where therapy does come in.
Yeah.
As that. Because some people, you could hang out with some people and be friendly with them, but
Yeah.
then you're not comfortable talking about the things you're going through. Is that something you find a lot with your millennial clientele?
Yeah, but I mean, every friend ain't supposed to know all your business, right?
Okay.
You have your friends where you can be open and honest with. Then you have like your party friends and your school friends and stuff like that.
Okay,
so,
yeah.
So yeah, so hopefully, you have somebody in your circle where you can feel, that you can be open and honest with them. And if not, then seek mental health care.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, that's understandable, and I get that to some extent.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to a completely different topic, and let's talk more about like domestic violence and things like that, and abuse in some of those situations. Have you encountered any clientele that goes through that, or how would you address? Because I know a lot of that happens in our communities, whether it's sexual abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, especially among women and children. Is that something that you have addressed with your services or that you're offering as a resource?
So in those situations, so with sexual abuse, I have seen persons that have gone through that. So then we would address, I guess, the ramifications of that, like what came out of that. So sometimes that would be like low self-esteem or things like that. So we would address those issues. When it comes to physical abuse and all of those, I would refer them to the Grand Bahama Resilience Center just so that they can have like someone in person, right? Because now safety is an issue.
Yes.
Right? So that's like the number one thing. So that's why I offer that 15-minute consultation to where we talk about these things. And I'm like, okay, so my level of care may not be the best level of care for you. Here is a recommendation.
Right. A referral. Okay, wonderful. So are there any other therapists that you know locally in Grand Bahama that are doing work or services like yours that are in person that you would like to refer right now?
So I believe her name is Daniqua White. I think she works out of Medical Pavilion.
Yes.
Yeah. So I would refer people to her as well. I don't know her personally, but I know she's somebody on the island, And so just have these referrals that's handy when I encounter these persons that may not necessarily need telehealth care, but they probably need to be in front of somebody. In case something happens, then they can get help quickly.
In action, like in person help or whatever. Okay, good. That's good. So the other question I have as it relates to that as well, do you feel like there is more that can be done in our communities as it relates to dealing with the therapy side of after abuse? Because I know a lot of resources are in place in terms of who you can go to the police, if you see something, say something in terms of that. But when it comes to the therapy that is needed afterwards, do you feel like there's enough being done in terms of educating the importance of that?
I mean, so let's look at the persons that are offering the services that are on the island or not on the island, you know what I mean? Or that are available, right? Do the police know these people that they can refer? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So making sure that these services know like where to refer persons to. Maybe the police, I don't know if they do, but if they don't, to get like that mental health first aid training to where, you can be a liaison between you and this licensed mental health professional. Right? So let's talk about that. We probably need more services on the island to help.
Because I don't want to, just like how you don't want to assume, but I kind of could assume, but then don't want to. I feel like a lot of times, especially after something, like you mentioned the police, something criminal, like a child being abused, a woman being abused, and it has to get reported, rape kits, all those things are done. A lot of times it ends up getting referred to a pastor or a youth minister or someone in the church rather than a licensed professional. Now, no offense, y'all don't come for me, but I really feel that sometimes it is necessary for a professional in terms of how you are licensed. You went to school for this. It's almost the same thing like when someone gets raped, you take them to an actual doctor to deal with the physical side of it. So now we're dealing with the mental side of it. It's better, in my opinion, for you to go to someone who is licensed and trained to handle that type of therapy.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yes, I agree.
Why and how so?
And so, at the very least, to get that mental health first aid training to where you can stand in the gap, right? But not feel as though you are treating this person and helping them out, right? So like we talked about earlier with therapy and your faith. Right? So there's room for both.
Right.
You know, so let's say if your pastor or whoever in the church have that mental health first aid training, so they could be there standing in the gap, sitting with you, knowing not to say too much, right?
Right.
Sometimes people just don't know what to say.
Right.
Right. So knowing not to say too much, but knowing that they are there as a body for you to lean on, because humans crave that human interaction, right? That connection.
Yes.
So being there with them in that moment, and then also kind of like walking them over to a licensed professional. Right. So there's room for both. It's just that I guess
usually stops at the pastor.
Yeah, in our culture, that's where it is.
Yeah.
So
in terms of the help and the assistance, because a lot of times, especially because earlier you were using certain terminology like quarter life crisis, like it's certain terminology and things that you're aware of to pick up on. You'd be able to see if a rape victim has PTSD from the situation, if they're traumatized, if this is behavior they may mimic on someone else in the future. You'd be able to pick up on certain things like that sometimes someone who isn't trained cannot pick up on. So that's the reason why I brought it up, and I want it to be something that we actually discuss and make apparent. So even when it comes to guidance counselors and things in the school, sometimes that's why they are so important to actually be there, because children say things sometimes, but someone who's licensed can pick up on when someone's talking and be like, hold on, you say that a little too, you know, I need to pull you into the office, you need to talk, I need to call your parents, XYZ. So in those scenarios, do you feel that enough training is available here in the Bahamas to help get persons to that level of where you are?
No. So right now we don't have any licensing requirements in the Bahamas, right?
Okay.
We're working on it, but it's not something that is here. So I'm licensed in the state of Florida,
Right.
Because that's where I went to school and did 3,000 hours and
My Lord, 3,000 hours. Ugh.
all that stuff. So yeah, so we don't have any licensing requirements, but like persons like the guidance counselors, and then other mental health professionals on the island, hopefully they would have gotten at least a master's in counseling, psychology, social work, things like that. So that is what is needed. I'm not sure if UB offers those programs. I know Barry University is in Nassau and they offer the master's in counseling.
Yes.
And they offer, I think, a 20% discount if you want to get your master's in counseling at Barry University.
Check out, plugging up over alma mater. Don't do your thing, yeah? But, yeah, definitely. I went to UB.
Yeah.
I studied psychology. I got my bachelor's. I would not open up no practice and tell people come lay on my couch and let me be their therapist. I just know I can't. I wouldn't lie to myself.
Yeah.
I wouldn't pretend. And so I understand when you're saying like the need for the standard of licensure, because I feel like that is a major issue we have with a lot of things here in the Bahamas, in terms of making sure that everybody is up to a certain standard in the services that they're offering. Don't say you offering therapy out of your house just because you was a youth minister. I ain't throwing no shade at nobody. I just saying, because no, I don't know anybody who's doing that, but that's just a scenario. Like you can't all of a sudden feel like, oh, because I went through this and because I helped this one person, now I could turn this into a business and try to charge people for therapy when you have no formal training. You want a doctor like Danny, you know what I mean? So that's why I brought it up, and that's something that I feel is really important. Because one thing we have been seeing a lot of times is a cycle of abuse in a lot of families in the Bahamas, especially on the family islands, where it happened to them and now they doing it to their niece and now they doing it to their nephew, and then it continues as a cycle.
Yeah.
So when it comes to that, especially services on the family islands, what do you think would be the first step in terms of beginning, in terms of getting us to that point where the licensure is a requirement, people are more comfortable getting psychological help, like mental health counselors like yourself?
So with licensure, that, like I said, it's being worked on. The laws have to be changed and all of that stuff. So it's a long process, right? So I don't know when it's coming, but it's on the way. It's coming. Right. But I don't want to, I guess, deter persons from seeking mental health care if the person is not licensed. So if that person has a master's degree,
right?
So that means that a master's degree in counseling, psychology, or social work. That means that they would have gone through the theory and the practicum in order to help those persons. So because we don't have those licensing requirements in the Bahamas just yet, I don't want that to be a deterrent for persons to go and seek that mental health care.
Right. Because it's still good care.
Yeah.
In the sense.
It's still quality work.
Right.
It's just that with the license, you got to take an exam, and then you got to do extra hours and all of that stuff.
Yeah, it's a long process to get the licensure. Okay, wonderful. So we're going to take another commercial break, and then we come back. We're going to wrap up this amazing conversation we're having with Dr. Daniqua Williams, all about mental health. You asked and I delivered. Islandish is back. The podcast you guys have known to love, to like to call in, to like to interact with. We are officially back. For the ones that don't know me, this is your girl Yams. Hearing me on Mix 102.1 FM or your favorite TGF_Yams. With the 2 S's, we're back with Islandish right here on Superior Talk. So make sure you're following the page. We're going live this Thursday, 6 p.m. Don't miss it. Follow us. And we are back with Islandish Podcast with your girl Yams and the lovely Dr. Dani, talking all about mental health and her amazing work she is doing all for millennials. Now, as we start to wrap this up, we're going to talk a little bit more about you.
Okay.
As we get into that. So, how do you handle, because I would assume being a therapist is very draining.
I would say very, but
somewhat.
Some days, yeah.
How do you handle burnout and how do you stay motivated?
So for me, I used to be full-time private practice, and now I'm part-time private practice. And so a part of the reason of me getting a doctorate in educational leadership versus like counseling is because I wanted that balance between the type of people that I see. So with my students, I can be more forthcoming and holding them accountable for their actions and all of that stuff. But then in my private practice, I have to, go at it at a different angle. And so things may move differently. Things may be a little bit more heavier, right? And so knowing me, I wouldn't want to do that all day, every day. Right? So then I reserve that for a part of my day. And then also, because I have that free 15-minute consultation, then I know the type of clients that I would feel most comfortable with. So if I don't feel as comfortable with treating these set of symptoms, then I would refer them out to somebody because I know my limits. Right? So, so that's kind of like how I handle burnout, so that when I am showing up for my clients, I love it. It doesn't feel like work.
Right.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I like that answer. Now, with you being in Houston, big up to H-Town.
Hold on, in Dallas.
Oh.
Yeah.
You in Dallas?
Yeah.
I thought you was in Houston, man. You in Dallas.
No, they have hurricanes.
Oh.
Why would I go from Florida to Houston? No.
Understandable. So you rather go somewhere where hurricanes completely out of the question.
I'm on that.
That makes sense. You smart, Smart. Okay. With you being in Dallas, pardon me, I was about to say H-Town and be all hype, you ruin it.
Sorry.
But with you being in Dallas and not being here, do you see yourself ever moving back home?
Yeah, but not right now.
Okay, why?
I have some goals that I want to achieve first. And then once I do that, then I could consider like coming back and living at home in peace.
In peace.
Yeah.
Understood. Make sure like align up a few things.
Yeah.
Everything is good. So what do you see in the future for Free Your Mind Counseling?
So hopefully in the future I can move into being a group practice.
Okay.
I know a few up and coming counselors who are in grad school or who have just graduated that I feel like they would be amazing counselors, right? And so wanting them to be a part of my practice and for persons to have access to them as well, that's what I want to do. So just moving into a group practice where I have several clinicians working for Free Your Mind Counseling Services so that we can offer more times of availability, because right now I am only available Monday through Thursday from 6 to 10 p.m.
Okay.
So having more clinicians that can offer a wide range of availability.
Right. To handle more clientele and also more variety. Okay, wonderful. So do you do any, because you know you used to go to UB.
Yeah. Well, COB, I graduated from COB. I didn't graduate from UB.
See, I like when people just try to get technical like this. I used to go to COB, but I was part of the first graduating class of UB. You see? So they turned into UB like that June, July, and I walked that December. So, yeah. So I barely missed it, but everything cool. You was part of Cobb Life.
Yes.
Bingo. So do you see yourself doing any collaborations with the psych department there? Or have you done anything with them in the past?
No, I haven't, and I have reached out to them. So I'm waiting on a response. So if anybody from UB is listening,
Yeah, man, we could do something. You
call
be
me
not.
back.
Yeah, man. You know Miss T still there.
She is?
Yes, Mr. and Chris is still there holding it down at the UB North, holding it strong. We did something earlier this year, so yeah, man, we definitely could do something, collaborate on something, especially for this younger generation, because I really like how we open up the show, and I want us to end on that note, talking about that quarterly crisis, because I feel like a lot of persons are going through that. That's why a lot of persons, especially that 25 to 30 age bracket, they can't hold down a job. They work in one place and they work in somewhere else. They start a business, stop it, start a new business, and they just all over the place. They're throwing things against the wall to see what stick.
Yeah.
Is that a part of that, or am I overdiagnosing?
It is a part of that. And so for that, you know, just slowing down a little bit and just seeing what it is that you really want to do. And sometimes the things that you really want to do is going to take some work. Right? It's not going to be, you know, somebody call you or you apply and then this is like my dream job.
Yeah.
You know,
it
but
don't work like
it's
that
going to take a
sometimes.
little bit of work. So being open and willing to do that.
Willing to do the work and
Yeah.
put it in. Excellent. So I'm gonna let you wrap this up. Let them know where they can reach out to you. Let them know your website again, contacts, anything that you would like to share.
Sure. So you can reach me at freeyourmindcounseling.com. I am on Instagram at freeyourmind_counseling or on Facebook, Free Your Mind Counseling Services. You can WhatsApp me at 814-8333. And yeah.
I love that. Donnie, this has been an amazing conversation. Thank you so much for popping in. And this is what I do. If I bump into you in public and be like, hey, you free on Thursday? I want you to come to the podcast. And this is how it happens.
Yeah.
So if anybody would like to come on and be a guest, y'all know how to reach out to us. Visit Islandish 242. Donnie can definitely start sending me more of her flyers. So you guys will definitely be seeing more of her services shared on the Islandish platform. Make sure you're subscribing to Superior Talk on YouTube. So hit the notification, hit the subscribe, hit the like button, and share this episode with a family member or a friend. Take a 5-minute break because immediately after this at 6 o'clock, we have another episode coming up, and you don't want to miss that. Catch y'all later. Peace out.